clearly they need to have governance continue.
The only responsibility was what Mr. Sisodia had to plunder the government of Delhi's wealth, because what he was doing is only how to make money for themselves, for his party, and through unfair practices for Mr. Kejriwal. The architect of this entire scam is Mr. Kejriwal, and he was the one who was was also responsible, along with Mr. Kejriwal, to do this crime.
You've got your wish, Mr. Islam, you've got your wish. You've been asking for Jain's resignation.
Yesterday they were speaking something else.
And for
today they are
Sisodia's
speaking something else. Yesterday they were saying that they will get somehow relief from the Supreme Court. Today what Supreme Court has said is known to everyone, that you cannot invoke Article 32 when you have the remedies available with the Honorable High Court. So first approach Honorable High Court.
The Supreme Court has not dismissed, the Supreme Court did not accept the case, that is all. You know, so I think that you should not be spreading
let me just complete. I'm not interrupting anyone. I can't see anyone, so let me just finish. I didn't interrupt our spokesperson. Why she is unnecessarily making
okay, let him finish. I have to go
making a statement which is factually incorrect. All I'm trying to tell you that they were trying to invoke Article 32, which was simply not possible. Honorable Supreme Court has very clearly indicated to them, suggested to them to go to the Honorable High Court where the remedies are available.
Okay, and I believe Ravi Shankar Prasad, but just one second, Mr. Islam. Ravi Shankar Prasad is speaking once again on this new development. He was holding a press conference earlier. Let's listen in.
दामन में बहुत धब्बे हैं, प्रतीक्षा करिए, कई चीज अपने आप निकलती है ना, बस। हाँ, लेकिन जब धब्बे बड़े होते हैं तो वो फिर बच नहीं पाते हैं, इसलिए प्रतीक्षा करिए, ठीक है? We have just learned that Mr. Manish Sisodia has resigned, and so has Mr. Satinder Jain, and to our great surprise, Mr. Arvind Kejriwal has also accepted the resignation of Mr. Satinder Jain after 9 months. Come on. If Mr. Manish Sisodia had any moral compass left, being the disciple of Anna Hazare movement, he ought to have resigned on the day this scandalous allegations came to light. He ought to have told, first I will get exonerated, then I will come back. But his plea in the Supreme Court was, I am looking after 18 departments, therefore please give me bail. The keenness was there to run the department, not to explain the scandalous case of corruption. Therefore, again I would repeat, the whole conduct of Aam Aadmi Party is typified by 3C, cut, commission and corruption. Thank you.
All right, Ravi Shankar Prasad responding on that. I want to go across to my colleague Arunima, who continues to join us. Arunima, you have been tracking the investigation as well, especially the interrogation of Manish Sisodia. Today, when it is clear that he is not getting any relief from the Supreme Court, at least, what more are you learning of what Mr. Sisodia will be subjected to?
Well, this was day one of questioning. Out of those 5 days that CBI has been given, they are trying to ascertain the money trail. That's priority number one. What CBI believes is that total 100 crore kickback was paid, out of which 30 crore was paid in cash upfront to Vijay Nair, the main accused. The connection between Nair and Sisodia is what CBI is trying to prove, saying everything that Vijay Nair was doing was known to Mr. Sisodia. So they're trying to ascertain, even though prima facie they have some evidence to suggest that this money of 100 crore was channelized for election funding of Aam Aadmi Party. That is what CBI alleges. They say they have evidence that 70 lakh rupees out of that was paid in cash, and they have evidence to prove that. They've also got some people in Goa associated with advertising to tell them that how they were asked to provide deflated bills so that deflated amount could be shown in the account books and the rest of the amount could be paid in cash. They've also asked Dinesh Arora to turn approver, and he has reportedly told CBI that how the hawala amount was given to him by one of the co-accused, Abhishek Bonapalli, and he would get calls saying this is the number of the Hawala transactor and these are the currency note numbers, and that detail would then be forwarded to Vijay Nair. So these are all details that they want to confront Mr. Sisodia with, and that process has begun. The second thing they want to ask him, establishing his alleged culpability, is that where is that file, that crucial file which had details about how the excise policy was framed. Just to give you a backgrounder, there was an expert committee that was to look at this issue.
Yes.
There were legal experts who commented on it, and then there were two versions of the GOM note. All these details were in that file, and that file is missing. When Mr. Sisodia was asked about it, he said, I don't know. When the IO told him that, can you recall and tell me if you gave that file to your secretary or a bureaucrat so that we can ask that person, he just said, I don't know. So rather than trying to explain where that file went, his attitude is being called uncooperative by the CBI. And in this 5 day, they say they will attempt to get more details from him, and then they say they will be in a position to file a charge sheet.
All right, Arunima, I do thank you for joining us and breaking down all of those details, because the trouble continues to mount for Mr. Sisodia. Like I was saying at the start, before this news came in, it's not going to be easy to just deflect these charges. There is a policy that, and an expert panel, and you know what the expert panel recommended, what the policy is quite different, and explanations will have to be given. Now, I want to go across to some other guests for their first comments. Ravula Sridhar Reddy is joining us. There's been a link that has been found in the south as well. Some of those links have come close to your party. But first, on the big news that we're tracking, isn't this a fatal blow to the Aam Aadmi Party and its honest image? Its number 2 and number 3 effectively are in jail now, Mr. Sisodia and Mr. Jain.
No, everybody knows this is a fabricated case. They have been implicated in a false case. Nobody in the country except BJP and CBI understood what is this case is all about. And the monetary losses that they have shown are imaginary, and money which they have actually, declared this much money have come. They could not find any evidence anywhere, and putting them in jail. You question Narendra Modi today whether you have done something wrong or not. You will be someday in jail. That is how the BJP is actually giving message. And I've seen the response of Ravi Shankar Prasad. I don't know what sort of respect they still carry. You, after 12 lakh crores wiped out the common man's money through banks which are invested in Adani Group, and the nexus between Adani Group and central government, the link between Adani and Prime Minister is exposed openly, and you evade answers in the parliament. You don't accept for a JPC. When Supreme Court asks you to constitute a committee, you say that I will send the names in sealed cover.
But sir, none of that justifies or is a defense on the charges in this case. You're saying that CBI hasn't found anything, but CBI is conducting an investigation.
CBI is conducting an investigation, but nothing was found till date. Nothing was found. This is political vendetta, revenge politics. They could not digest their defeat repeatedly in Delhi after assembly elections, again in MCD. The entire country is watching today. So they have maintained the grace. Mr. Sachendra Jain or Mr. Sisodia resigned. Why PM has not even spoke about this particular Adani issue? 12 lakh crores is not big money. For you, 10,000 crores. If it is assumed 10,000 crores is a fault, what about 10
Okay,
lakh
Mr. Reddy, I want to come in here. I want to go across to some of our other guests who haven't spoken. But before that, Mr. Reddy, let me come in. You're raising a parallel with the whole Adani issue. I'm sorry to say that the scam, as far as alleged in this case and that case, are not comparable. In this case, the smoking gun allegedly is the kickbacks, right? Somebody made money for an alleged policy to be tweaked. Now, obviously, the CBI has to prove that, but that is the case. The case is not just about whether there was a notional loss or not.
Shivani, that's what I'm trying to tell you. When CBI gets into it, you will understand.
Okay.
In Sri Lanka, their electric board chief says that Indian government, Mr. Modi, pressurizes on them in how people know how the business has come.
Was there any kickback? Was there any kickback? In this case, there's a kickback alleged. In fact, I am learning via sources or CBI that kickbacks were given to the quote-unquote South Lobby 2, the South Group 2. Fundamentally, this is about corruption and kickbacks, sir. It is not about favoring one business or another. That's a separate issue altogether.
Where is the proof?
Yeah, so that's what we're waiting for. That's the case. The agency will have to make it court. You and I can't make that on TV.
That is what I'm trying to tell you.
Okay.
You implicate them in false case. You charge them.
Okay,
any
Mr.
proof
Reddy, please
and
tell
put them
me
behind
if
bars.
this is a
Then you ask
false
them to
case.
prove it.
That was said for
Government
Mr.
is
Jain
giving us-
also.
Please
Why is
give
Mr.
us-
Jain
Can I
in
just
jail
respond, please?
for 9 months? If the case was false, why is Mr. Jain in jail for 9 months? Are you saying the courts are turning a blind eye? Despite the fact that Mr. Sisodia today got
due
a
respect to
urgent hearing in the
judiciary.
Supreme Court.
Shivani, with due respect to the judiciary, these people are, implicating, framing cases in such a way. At times, courts may have no other way. But the
Okay.
people of the country.
I have
the
limited
people
time. I have to
don't
give
know
some
that there is-
opportunity to our other guests. Mr. Islam wanted to come in. Yes.
See, always they pretended that they're a group of saints. But finally they turn out to be Alibaba and his Chalis Chor. Because every minister in the Delhi government is a corrupt, because the leader of there is also a corrupt man in the form of Kejriwal. So, as I said earlier, that he was the architect of entire corrupt model where Sisodia was executing his command,
But-
and eventually they all made money.
No, but
for
Mr.
the,
Islam,
for the
see, this is
party
what
as
I'm
well as for
saying.
themselves.
In the heat of
But-
political barbs,
What we should
we'll have
possibly
to be
call,
careful
Shivani,
to not pronounce
They
judgment.
have
You
to be
can't
called
say that this
Alibaba
was
and Pati.
corruption till it is proved. It's a charge right now.
What should be named?
No, but it is no.
Of those
Whatever
people who
evidence
encourage Adani.
is in the public domain, that only suggests that it's a case of corruption. They have made money through unfair practices. They changed entire policy to benefit them. The commission had been improved from 2% to enhanced to 12%, only to siphon money. They engage people who have spilled the beans,
you are
and they
lying.
know, everyone
It
knows
is not 2%
that how
at
they have
all.
made money. The entire structure, the architect is not known to
guys
people.
lie.
So where is the question of hiding anything? And that's why when they realize that there is
He
no
doesn't
other way,
even know
they can hide.
what is the
So
existing
they have
percentage of
finally
the
resigned.
Okay,
That
I
only
want to
suggests they have
I want to focus
admitted
on the
their guilt
resignations
and
that have
the-
come in
and the
today.
corrupt,
Umesh
corruption they
Sehgal,
have done.
Umesh Sehgal, you've been discussing this issue and multiple other issues that the Aam Aadmi Party-led Delhi government has been facing.
Mr.
Do you
Jafar
believe?
doesn't even know.
One second, Mr.
What is the
Reddy.
existing
Mr. Reddy, I'll try and give you another opportunity. One second. Mr. Sehgal, do you think this is almost a fatal blow to the image of the Aam Aadmi Party? This is the worst that they've seen.
Well, it is, I don't know if it is a fatal blow, but it is definitely a blow. It is definitely a setback to a party which has come on the plank of honesty. To at least the minister has resigned. That is the only positive thing I can see in favor of the Aam Aadmi Party. Otherwise, in the whole case, the evidence points very squarely to both misconduct and corruption. Under the government has lost 2,000 crores, it is alleged, and it has lost because of various tweaks made in the policy. When the expert committee recommended that the government should continue to run the shops, they suddenly changed it and they gave it to private parties and it auctioned. 800 shops are auctioned, 800 were to pay, only 500 shops open. Some 140 crores was returned as earnest money to one of the parties without taking anybody's order. That is done by Mr. Sisodia himself, it is alleged. And there are various other things. No need for me to go in detail because all these have been presented to a district judge level officer. A district judge has put in 30 years of judicial service or 25 years of judicial service. He knows what is evidence, what is not. And if he has been convinced, I have never seen a case, whether by CBI or anyone else, where you ask for a 5-day remand and you are given a 5-day remand. The sedition and all those cases are different. Communal violence, all those cases are different. But this is a case of corruption. So, obviously, the court is satisfied that he is keeping some things behind. And it needs custodial interrogation. So, I mean, let us take just one case. They say nothing has been found from Mr. Sisodia's house. They have taken a computer from there. And it is said that in the computer, everything was wiped out.
Yeah,
But
no, we are
they have
learning
been
more
able to
details
restore
as
it
well.
now.
But I'll leave that to the
Yeah.
agencies to prove. Just hold on, Ms. Mathur and Mr. Reddy, just hold on. Kapil Sankla has not spoken. Just for the benefit of our viewers, I also want to point out 18 portfolios Manish Sisodia was holding, and some of them were the ones that were divested from Mr. Jain, who's in jail, and given to him. but very important ones. Education, that he is known for, finance, planning, land and building, vigilance. Another case where he is under scanner, services, tourism, art, culture, language, labor, employment, public work department. Public work departments is what came under Mr. Jain earlier. Health, industries, power, home, urban development. These were earlier Mr. Jain's portfolio. So obviously, there is obviously a point to be made here that the government couldn't have continued with two such ministers in jail because Mr. Jain just handled too much. But anyways, Kapil Sankla, I want to come to you. All the focus, especially after these political developments, all the focus will be on how tight a case the agencies can build. Now, you know that the agencies have come under a lot of fire because a lot of these cases never really go anywhere. Either they drag on, or as we've seen in the 2G case, it just completely turns over its head. Do you believe the agencies will be very confident from what we know right now of mounting these cases? Because there are very obvious questions, especially in the excise case.
You're absolutely right. And I've said this even before, that even CBI has to get his house in order, and the Honorable Supreme Courts have to intervene as to the actions and activities of CBI. I've already said that. Now regarding this case, please appreciate that I have other panelists saying that where is the proof, and he's innocent or he's guilty. This is too premature an argument right now, because even charge sheet has not been filed. He's just been arrested because he's been giving evasive answers. He's not given the file, he's not provided his mobile phones, etc. And therefore the court, having seized of the matter, having applied its mind as to the contentions of the CBI and the defense argument, gave 5 days remand. So as far as what CBI has today has to hold good. There has to be some cogent evidence that CBI has presented before the learned trial court, and the trial court gave 5 days remand. Otherwise, the court would not have given that remand. There are dime a dozen cases where the court say no remand, police remand is not required, and sends a person to judicial custody or even grants bail under the circumstances. But that is not the case here. So as far as the evidence is concerned, whatever the CBI may have found out must have some weightage, and strong enough weightage that the trial court has given this order. That's first part. The second part is look at the nature of the argument that is taking place. Nobody is trying to justify or not justify or defend the conduct of Mr. Sisodia. Nobody is saying why, under what circumstances he is not giving the files or not providing the mobile phones. Their entire gamut of argument, it's a political case. And I've said this dime a dozen times again, that what is good for the goose is good for the gander. If a common man gets arrested and is not providing documents or evidences which he has, which is in his custody, to the prosecution or to the investigating officer, the investigating officer can ask for interrogation and the courts will grant it. And merely because somebody is a politician, you cannot ask for special laws or special rights under the circumstances.
Okay.
So therefore, what holds good for a common man should also good hold here, unless and it will change the law.
No,
but the law as
actually
it
it should
today,
hold more true for a public
person,
officer. It should hold more true for a public officer.
Very well said.
We are talking about corruption in high places in a government
Very
policy.
well
This is not a matter of a joke. Why should any liberty or privilege be given to a public
you're
officer?
Absolutely right.
In any case, I also want to bring in Hemant Attri.
I'm glad
He's
you
a
said
journalist who also tracks Punjab politics very closely. Hemant Attri, this is a big crisis for the Aam Aadmi Party. They've had to bite the bullet. They would obviously like to play the card that, we've done this for propriety. But that card wouldn't work because Mr. Jain was in jail for 9 months. That propriety didn't dawn on them. Apart from what's happening in Delhi, 2 of their ministers, I believe, have resigned in Punjab already. One has been arrested on charges of corruption. This is a major problem for a party whose major plank is anti-corruption.
Shivani, Aam Aadmi Party is really headed for a big trouble as far as Delhi is concerned. See, the gentleman, Mr. Sisodia, was having 18 departments. Almost half of the government was being run by him. 33 departments in all in Delhi, and he was running 18. And see, now this is time for Delhi budget also. He was preparing for it. And finance department is not such a department that you and me come today and we can present the budget tomorrow. You have to have clarity for that. And furthermore, see, in this particular case, nobody can take shield of this and that. 2-3 things, they are not coincidences. First of all, the day governor pointed a finger on 30th of July towards this excise policy. And what happened? Within 24 hours, the excise policy was withdrawn. If there was nothing wrong in that, Why was there no discussion? Why was there no file going to governor and this put up in black and white? Why it was instantly withdrawn? Excise policies are not prepared by somebody in a spurt of a movement. It's a process. Cabinet takes a call, then it goes to LG, and there is a whole lot of process. And then you withdraw it unanimously on your own. Is it possible? First
Okay.
of all, that is the point. Second thing is, the biggest USP that Aam Aadmi Party claims is that they are the most honest people.
Exactly.
If that be the case, Stender Jain is there for last 9 months. Now this gentleman and a sitting health minister of Punjab, he was arrested. A week back, an MLA was arrested. So the thing is, Aam Aadmi Party was seriously planning for next 5 states which are going to be for the elections, particularly Karnataka, Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan, and Chhattisgarh. The Manish Sisodia being a poster boy of Aam Aadmi Party. I'm using the word poster boy.
Yes, sir, 1 second.
Shivani,
Because
Mr. Reddy,
I think-
coming to you 1 second.
Shivani,
he was a poster boy for particularly the education sector.
Okay.
And now, and practically he was number 2 for all practical purposes as far as Delhi government is concerned. And he is number 2 to Mr. Kejriwal.
Okay.
Now, under these circumstances, the Aam Aadmi Party's plans to spread its wings across the country, and particularly in these 5 election going states, that will take a major jolt.
Okay,
And that
they
is
might
a
still
real
try
point.
it, but it's more about public perception now. I request our guests to stay with us. I do want a response from both Mr. Reddy and Ms. Mathur, but we're getting more updates. Now, with as many as 18 portfolios ministerless and all key portfolios, including finance, Mr. Atri was right that the budget has to be presented. What happens next? There are a lot of speculations happening. Names of the likes of Saurav Bhardwaj and Atishi Marlena are now doing the rounds. Kailash Gehlot could also be given additional portfolios. My colleague Rupashri Nanda is joining us. Rupashri, I believe Kailash Gehlot was already part of the meetings that were taking place, especially for the budget. So was he being prepped already?
Well, the one point that I can confirm absolutely is that many ministers are part of the budget making process. It does not necessarily mean that he was being considered, but yes, his name has been doing the rounds. But as of now, I must tell our viewers that there is no confirmation that he indeed is going to present the budget or he is going to be given the charge of finance. The other two names that have been doing the rounds are that of Saurav Bhardwaj and Atishi Marlena. Remember, Aam Aadmi Party actually, the government over here in Delhi does not have a woman in its cabinet. And if Arvind Kejriwal wants to make a woman, also a minister, perhaps Atishi may be considered. But again, I would like to tell our viewers that as of now, this is only speculation. These names are doing the rounds. Now, why I am being careful is because until this afternoon also, that is before the verdict of the Supreme Court, when the Supreme Court told the Aam Aadmi Party to go to the High Court for remedy instead of knocking on the doors of the Supreme Court directly. Until then, there was no sense that one could gather from anyone that one spoke with that these resignations are on the line. So definitely it is Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal who has made up his mind. And considering various factors, number one is the sheer, burden of administration and responsibility of administration. Who is going to take that responsibility? If, for instance, he had not gone for a new minister or not appointed new people into his cabinet, then it had meant additional, responsibility for the existing ministers.
Okay.
Amongst the existing ministers, you have Kailash Gehlot, you have Ashok, you have Gopal Rai, you have Imran Hussain. Can they be trusted with so many more portfolios as Manish Sisodia had been trusted
Yeah,
with?
fair enough.
So
Rupashri, I want to focus a little bit on the turn of events. You're saying that until the Supreme Court hearing got over and there was no relief in sight, there was absolutely no discussion within the Aam Aadmi Party of what next, and that they were in no mood to go in for resignations from their jailed ministers. This is a sudden development?
Well, from what I have gathered is that there was always this door of asking their ministers to resign. That door was always open. But Arvind Kejriwal had made it very clear that he is not going to give in to the pressure from the opposition.
Okay.
Because taking the resignation also would mean that Kejriwal somewhere actually has relented to the pressure of the opposition.
Yes,
and
yes.
somewhere believes that his ministers are guilty and they cannot continue.
Yes,
in the
absolutely.
cabinet.
There is public
Their positions
perception
are
to be
untenable.
managed here. There is political perception to be managed here. But sometimes digging in your heels goes against you, as well as possibly has in this case. But this is a governance crisis for the Aam Aadmi Party too, along with a credibility crisis. Let me bring in Miss Mathur once again. Miss Mathur, you wanted to come in. What next now? Can you give us some details of what happens next? You seem to be running short of ministers.
We have enough MLAs and we need not worry about that. And like I said, that at no cost will we let from our end the governance to suffer. So I would like to assure you and our residents of Delhi that the Aam Aadmi Party government is very capable, and we are going to leave no stone unturned to serve them as we have been serving, and which is why they have given us a mandate, a historic mandate for the second and third time. Meanwhile, the reason why I wanted to come in is that while all these allegations remain allegations, at least for now, we must not lose sight of the fact that there are other cases in this country and what happens to them. It is important because there is a political environment. There is an environment in which this is happening, and we must, raise questions to all sides. For example, there is Mr. Narayan Rane, who's accused of a 300 crore money laundering racket, of running that, and he becomes a union minister. Mr. Suvendu Adhikari, the probe stops as soon as he joins the BJP. Mr. Himanta Biswa Sarma, who's the chief minister of Assam, and the probe stops, just when he joins the BJP. Then there's Bhavna Gaule, there's Yashwant Yadav. There are so many cases. B.S. Yedurappa, who was felicitated later by the PM. So, it is very crucial to discuss this in the context of the political atmosphere.
I get it.
That the
I
BJP
take your
has
point.
created.
Why is there heat on some and not on others? But can I point out?
And this is something
Can
that
I point out that is still not a defense for your corruption?
Not at all.
My
not
point
at all.
is that I don't know
Not
how
at all.
political
That is
party
not-
says that, okay, we are doing this, you are coming after us, but why are you not going after somebody else? That's not a defense for your probity.
No, but even in the court of law, circumstances and the broader environment, must be stated.
No,
And
but they're
I
never
as a
stated
defender
in
have
court.
the
That's
right-
fundamentally
Wait a
the
moment.
point I'm
I have
making.
the-
Your lawyers
This is
will never
separate
say
from
this
our
in
case.
court because this is
What
not
I'm
a legal
saying is-
argument.
No, I'm not doing whereaboutry, and none of that influences this particular case. But what I'm saying is that as journalists or as citizens or as politicians, it is our job to highlight the larger political circumstances.
Okay, fair
And
enough.
what
I've
I
allowed
say,
you to make that
must
point.
ask-
Zafar
you
Islam
must
will
ask
respond
the
to that.
BJP
My
spokesperson,
fundamental
you must
question is,
ask-
I am discussing this case. Is there a case of corruption here or not? Bottom line. I don't like the fact that someone else is involved in this, someone else is involved in that, particularly for a party whose only plank was anti-corruption. Yes, Mr.
Yeah,
Reddy.
what I'm saying is that if you
Miss
are
Mathur,
giving,
once again. Miss
you are
Mathur, once again.
giving-
Mr. Reddy
if
has
you
been
are
waiting.
giving-
Mr.
you are
Reddy, then
giving
Mr.
me an
Islam.
opportunity.
Yes.
Shivani,
Yeah.
Shivani, I was listening to the other panelists. They were all saying, it's a big blow, a setback, trouble to the government. This is what exactly the central government and BJP wanted for AAP today in Delhi, because they are also questioning the central government. They are also fighting against them. That's what is even happening with us. If you question Modi. And today, I was just listening to the former chief secretary saying that, we are all asking for where is the money found, where is the evidence found. He was saying few computers were found. Finding computers, seizing them, is it equal to corruption? You might get definitely some documents, whether they are, false or perfect. Of that court will, it. But the issue here is, now you are repeatedly saying that AAP was, fighting on the plank of being very honest and anti-corruption. No, these are all false cases, framed cases.
Can I ask you a
fabricated
question,
cases,
Mr. Reddy?
with a false intention.
Can
I'm
I ask
telling
you a question,
because
Mr.
see,
Reddy? There
and
are
one more thing,
multiple
one more
arrests.
thing,
There are multiple arrests that have happened in this excise policy case before Manish Sisodia was arrested. None of them are managing to come out. Can you tell me why? So if the case is so false, it is so fraudulent, how is nobody managing to secure a release?
That is what we are asking. I am repeating, that is what we are asking. You see, fine, if the case is tomorrow, how it will turn out, we will definitely see. The case in the past 5 years, how the 2G scam, or whatever scams you have named, what was the result we have seen. Today, as AAP spokesperson was asking today, why the cases on Mr. Narayan Rane to Mr. Sharma are dropped? Why there is no single investigation is ordered today by the central government after 10 lakh crores wiped out?
Okay.
And every investment proposal of Adani called off. Adani themselves have called off. They have rolled back their FFP. Even that, is this not suspicious? Is this 12 lakh crores money invested by the bank? Today, LIC's money has come down, drastically dropped by 50-60,000 crores. Is it not a problem? Central government has no role in it.
Okay, fair
Why
enough.
finance
You've
ministry is
made that
not
argument
deciding
earlier.
on
Can I
this?
ask you a very quick question
Are you
before
not
I go to
brave enough
Zafar
to
Islam?
resign?
Mr. Reddy, can I ask you a
You
very quick
wanted to
question?
suffer.
There are
Then
links
finally
to
Zafar
this
Islam.
case that have touched your party.
Islam was saying-
Given what is transpiring in the national capital, are you worried that there could be greater trouble for you too?
Shivani, Mr. Jafar Islam was saying the existing commission which was proposed was 5%, enhanced to 12%. He's saying 2% to 12%. This is how you guys, spread lies, wrong information into the public.
But sir, you're not answering my question. Why are you defending the Delhi excise policy so much? Are you worried that the tentacles will reach you very severely?
I am not Delhi Excise. I am not trying to defend. We are only trying to question the, witch hunting of the central government. We are trying to, question the selective, targeted harassment and hunting of the opposition parties who are questioning.
Okay. Mr. Zafar Islam, please respond to that.
See, all this statement which is coming from all the panelists, only trying to say either he was not corrupt or he was corrupt. But the fact is known to the CBI because they have the evidence. When he was in their custody, he was in contact with all the evidences which was collected by the CBI, and he was in contact with them. And he just didn't cooperate with them because he knew that what crime he has committed. And he knew that he is responsible and instrumental for all the corruption which has taken place while making the liquor policy. And he claimed to be education minister, but actually he is a excise minister, he is a liquor minister. He is the one who is responsible for all the benefit which has been passed on to others, and in the process he has collected bribe from these people. So the evidence is with the CBI, and let the court take its own course, because CBI will definitely prove.
But can I also say, Mr. Zafar Islam, these agencies do come under the central government. Yeah. Some of these cases have to go to some conclusion, right? The agencies' reputations and their work is also under scanner, under scrutiny, especially when it comes to your political opponents.
See, it is the responsibility of the agencies. If they have found some corruption has taken place, and where somebody is responsible, it is the responsibility of the.
What about the other names that the Aam Aadmi Party and BRS are listing out? The likes of Narayan Rane, Suvendu Adhikari. What happens to these cases?
No, everything is in the court. I mean, whatever is there in the court. So let the court decide. In every case, it is the court which has to take decision. All I am trying to tell you that independent agencies like CBI and ED, they pursue case based on certain evidence. If they have the evidence, all along Mr. Sisodia was claiming that he has not committed any crime and there is no case of corruption. But when he has been in
evidences on Narayan Rane,
then he just couldn't respond. Then that is what I am trying to tell you, that these independent agencies have gathered enough evidence of corruption and against Mr. Sisodia, and that is what has been shown to him. And he was
I have to go across to some more breaking updates coming in.
Remind, I'm sure the truth.
We are getting some more breaking updates coming in. This is about what really happens in the aftermath of both the ministers, Manish Sisodia and Satyendra Jain, now resigning. We are learning that Sisodia's portfolios, because he was holding the ones divested from Satyendra Jain too, so as many as 18 key portfolios, they're going to be distributed between Kailash Gehlot and R.K. Anand. Rupashi Nanda is once again with us. Rupashi, tell us more.
Well, yes, as like I was mentioning earlier also, these names were doing the round and there was no confirmation of either of those, names. So now we can confirm that Rajkumar Anand, the person who was inducted into Kejriwal's cabinet after the resignation of Rajendra Pal Gautam, is going to be handed some portfolios. Remember, he was a minister in the cabinet who did not have any portfolios. And now, Kailash Gehlot is going to be also sharing many of the portfolios that Manish Sisodia used to handle. And the other big breaking news that we have at this point is that Arvind Kejriwal is not going to induct any new people as ministers at this point in time.
Okay.
So perhaps the chief minister has tried, to send some sort of a signal that, that even though the resignations of Satyendra Jain and Manish Sisodia have been accepted, no other person is going to be appointed in their place. So those positions will remain vacant in the ministry. Now, this is going to be a very tough ask for all the ministers who already are there in the cabinet, because remember, Delhi cabinet is a very small cabinet. It does not have too many numbers.
Okay.
When you have so many ministries and so many departments to handle, it just means additional work for the ministers who are still in the cabinet.
Rupashri, I wanted to understand from you, because you track the party very closely, two things. Do we have any details of what these resignations say? How have they been sent? Any details at all of what they are saying in their resignations? Any response yet from the top brass, which is Arvind Kejriwal? Any responses at all so far?
No response from the Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal so far, and no response also, from other top people in the party as to what actually triggered this sudden change of or turn of events. Like I have been mentioning, it was the Supreme Court's verdict actually which told the Aam Aadmi Party to go to the High Court, exhaust its options of getting remedy from there before turning to the Supreme Court, and going by what has already happened. And remember, these are people who are very close to Arvind Kejriwal. Satyendra Jain was close to Arvind Kejriwal. Manish Sisodia and Arvind Kejriwal's bonds are very well known. And the other person who has been under arrest now for 4 months is Vijay Nair, again another person who again was operating out of the Chief Minister's office. And Vijay Nair again has been in jail for 4 months.
Okay.
So going by the kind of tenure that these people have been spending in jail, perhaps Arvind Kejriwal did decide that it is time now, perhaps to bite the bullet.
Absolutely, the writing was on the wall. Absolutely, Rupa. Thanks a lot for joining us, because as I was saying, there are a lot of other arrests that have been made as far as this case is concerned. Nobody is managing to get the cases against them quashed or get relief as far as their custodies is concerned. My colleagues Akash and Arunima are also joining us. Arunima, before I come to you, very quickly, Akash, any responses that you're getting from Delhi politicians? The Congress, the BJP have been hammering the Aam Aadmi Party over this issue, and both have been demanding resignations of these ministers.
First of all, two things, Shivani. This particular decision has come out as a surprise, first of all, because no one was expecting that this would happen that early. That day before yesterday, we saw that how Manish Sisodia was arrested, and today a decision has been taken, and he resigned. In fact, Satyendra Jain has also resigned, and their resignations have been accepted. Now, there were talks that Arvind Kejriwal and the party is working on some plan B, but with the particular development that no new minister will be inducted. This is another surprise, because you see, just after a few days we'll have Delhi budget. Yes, Kailash Gehlot would be presenting, and it was pre-decided, in fact, that Kailash Gehlot would be presenting the budget. But as far as the opposition is concerned, so opposition used to attack Aam Aadmi Party, saying that you have two different policies for the party. In Punjab, you say that you portray, in fact, that Aam Aadmi Party is so imandar party that whenever there is a charge, in fact, there is allegation of corruption on any of our minister, we are asking them to resign. In fact, in Punjab, we saw this similar image.
Yes.
But in Delhi, BJP was constantly attacking Aam Aadmi Party, saying that your minister is in jail from last 10 months and before.
And you've not done anything. That's possibly because the Delhi is their most important model, isn't it? This is where the model started. This is where all of their perception comes from. Arunima, it seems that the writing was on the wall, isn't it? Arunima is not with us anymore. Akash, the other thing also is that the next few months are going to be extremely crucial for the Aam Aadmi Party, because they had such large national ambitions. But it seems like the very heart of their model is under crisis now.
And also, Shivani, it will be crucial to mention, because I had a word with several Aam Aadmi Party leaders. They are, they are not talking on record, but they are saying that it would not be easy for these ministers to carry on these portfolios. In fact, Aam Aadmi Party will have to induct new ministers in this case. But as of now, in fact, speculations were going that Saurabh Bhardwaj and Atishi will be given some sort of responsibility. But as of now, Aam Aadmi Party has decided that no, they are going to continue with the current ministers. Rajendra Pal, Rajkumar Anand, and also Kailash Gehlot. Kailash Gehlot comes from Najafgarh constituency, and Rajkumar Anand, had replaced Rajendra Pal Gautam just a few months back. So these ministers will be
Right.
continuing with power with the.
We'll continue to track that very closely, Akash.
portfolio.
I do thank you for joining us. This is an unprecedented scenario playing out in the national capital. We've not had two sitting ministers in jail. They're not sitting ministers anymore, at least. But unprecedented crisis for the Aam Aadmi Party. We'll have to wait and see how they can come out of this and when we'll hear from the Chief Minister first after these big developments. Time for me to take your leave. Keep watching CNN News 18. We'll track this very closely. Ashish, can you walk us through what took place in court yesterday? Can you also walk us through what the next 5 days of remand with the CBI are going to look like for the Deputy Chief Minister?
So, if you see what the CBI said in the court was, and in fact what they wanted, they got. They wanted 5 days custody, they were given 5-day custody, and they were given this custody on merit. Reason being that there's some evidence and some testimonies as well, where people who were occupying senior positions in the Delhi government, they were basically they basically spilled the beans before the CBI, and they told on how last moment and abrupt changes in the policy were done. And in fact, there are certain evidence which shows that the policy was drafted and crafted in a South Delhi hotel. In fact, the photocopies were done in a South Delhi hotel, and that a similar number of pages were basically put in the cabinet as well. So, if it was increase in the profit margin for the wholesalers from 5% to 12%, if it was the money, if it was the trade going into the private hands, that's the wholesale trade going into the private hands from the government company, all these decisions were abrupt decisions, and the allegation against Manish Sisodia is that it was done at the behest of the South lobby, because there was an upfront payment of around 100 crore rupees. Now, the CBI and the ED have been able to track down some payment, because Dinesh Arora, one of the close associates, the former close associates of Manish Sisodia, has spilled the beans before the CBI, has turned out to be a witness and told that huge amount of cash was coming from the south to Delhi, and further it was being handed over to people who were handling, the election campaigning in Goa. Now, here, if you remember, Chariot, the owner of Chariot Media, has been arrested. Chariot Media was one of the companies which was doing business with Aam Aadmi Party in Goa, and it has, one of their colleagues, one of their employees, Manaswini, has given a statement that volunteers were distributed cash in Goa for campaigning, and that cash was basically coming from none other than the liquor kickback. That is what the allegation is. So, the kind of evidence the CBI had in their hand, the kind of testimonies they had in their hand, the kind of statements they had in their hand, based on those and the kind of reaction that Manish Sisodia gave to questioning, that was the reason that 5 days of custody has been granted to the CBI. So it's going to be interesting 5 days, because on the 5th of March, he has to be produced before the court. Let's see what comes now after the questioning is over in CBI custody.
Arunima, could you just, if we just take a step away from what Ashish told us, if we had to look at this entire situation in an overview, can you tell our audiences, we know the Aam Aadmi Party broadly is saying, look, these are all allegations that are false. But what are the biggest questions that the Aam Aadmi Party has yet to answer?
See, what the Aam Aadmi Party has maintained is that the reason excise policy was withdrawn is because they also realized that there were lacunas. What they say, however, is that this was an oversight and not a crime. What the CBI is now trying to underline is that there was quid pro quo, which immediately makes it a crime under the Prevention of Corruption Act. The number that they're putting out, quid pro quo, is 100 crore to start with. They're saying 100 crore advance kickback was paid. And as per them, Vijay Nair and Dinesh Arora were the main conduits, the two people who have been named as close associates of Manish Sisodia. So their charge is that you changed the excise policy, you increased the profit margin to 12% because you wanted the liquor manufacturers who were getting the L1 license to give back the kickback, the 12% profit margin. Out of that, 6% would be redirected to Aam Aadmi Party associates and their accounts, and this money would then be utilized to fund AAP's election campaign. That's the charge that CBI is making. What do they have so far in terms of proof to back that charge? They claim that in terms of Goa election funding, they have receipts to suggest that people who were advertising or allowing AAP to use their hoardings, they were asked to put on paper deflated bills, and the rest of the payment, the balance payment, was made in cash. They're alleging Hawala transaction proof is available. They're also alleging that cash payment of 70 lakh rupees was made. Now, out of 100 crore that they're alleging so far, only 70 lakh expenditure has been stated. At another place, they say that 20 to 30 crore upfront payment was made right at the start of 2021 in a meeting that happened in Hyderabad between the South Group and Vijay Nair. So these figures have been thrown, but do they have enough paper trail, enough witnesses? And if you have to prove the money trail, you need to complete the chain of criminal conspiracy. And that's what they say they want to question Manish Sisodia about. That was this entire money used in Goa, or has this been stashed somewhere else? There has been a lot of speculations about the way Punjab elections were funded as well. So right now, there are charges, there are allegations, there are some proof. CBI still has to go a long way to complete the chain of criminal conspiracy to tie down Manish Sisodia.
Over the last few days, in a massive setback to the Delhi Aam Aadmi Party government, the Delhi Deputy Chief Minister, the number 2 in charge, the key aide to Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal, Manish Sisodia, in charge of 18 portfolios in the Delhi government, has now been sent to 5 days of CBI custody. That is until March 4th. Now, he is going to be in court. The CBI has argued in court yesterday that Sisodia generated illegal profits via a liquor policy in a secret conspiracy with top liquor barons. You'll remember that the liquor policy they're referring to is a liquor policy introduced by the Delhi government last year. It was introduced and then just a few weeks after rescinded once again. Now, there were many allegations made against the Aam Aadmi Party government, all of which they've refuted, and we'll get into that in just a second. But the CBI also argued that custodial interrogation is essential. Essentially, they've said they need to have Sisodia in front of them to ask him the right questions. They've also said Sisodia is being evasive. Now, Sisodia, on the other hand, has said that the liquor policy was totally above the table. He's also said it was cleared by the LG in 2021. He's also added that he has replied and come for all the rounds of questioning. The round of questioning we saw on Sunday in which he was arrested was only the second round of questioning, and he said he had appeared both times and cooperated with the agency.
पूरी भारतीय जनता पार्टी, केंद्र की मोदी सरकार जिसका कंट्रोल, जिसके इशारे पर यह सारा खेल हो रहा है, पूरी भाजपा चुप है, पूरी केंद्र सरकार चुप है, पूरी सीबीआई चुप है, पूरी ईडी चुप है। ये राजनीतिक प्रतिद्वंदिता के तहत, गंदी राजनीति के तहत ये सारा खेल हो रहा है।
पापी आपको भी पता है कि एक्यूज नंबर 1 कट्टर बेईमान है, और आज ये आदेश आने के बाद ये बात सिद्ध हो गई है। चाहिए थी जब
Epicenter with me, Maria Shakil. The Aam Aadmi Party has been given a double jolt with the resignations of top 2 lieutenants of Arvind Kejriwal. Manish Sisodia and Satyendra Jain tendering their resignations. This decision comes minutes after the Supreme Court refused to entertain Sisodia's plea against his arrest in the Liquorgate probe, asking him to approach the High Court. The CBI was granted Sisodia's custody till March 4th as the court ruled that his answers to the glaring corruption charges have been unsatisfactory. Meanwhile, Satyendra Jain, who faces money laundering case charges, has been in ED custody for almost 9 months with no relief from the courts. Both these men controlled the big ministries of the Delhi government, with 18 departments under Manish Sisodia, including the 8 earlier held by Satyendra Jain. As per Aam Aadmi Party sources, there won't be any new inductions into the cabinet. Manish Sisodia's ministries will be handled by Kailash Gehlot and Rajkumar Anand. The BJP has hit out at Arvind Kejriwal, calling the action too little too late, claiming Aam Aadmi Party's corruption is now for the whole world and the whole country to see. The Aam Aadmi Party has made it clear that the party's move has been made to ensure fair probity in these cases. But big question remains. Was this done to protect the party's anti-corruption brand? Is this more a result of political pressure to protect Arvind Kejriwal's image? Joining me now on the show, Rupashri Nanda, who tracks the Aam Aadmi Party for us. We also have Akash live with us on the show. Arunima will be joining me in just a bit. Rupashri, beginning with you, why these resignations now? Because still this afternoon, Rupashri, Aam Aadmi Party was defending the 2 ministers, calling them not guilty. Isn't these resignation signaling that the party realized that both of these cases had become too hot, may perhaps a case too very difficult for them to defend?
Well, absolutely. In fact, Aam Aadmi Party was hoping for some relief from the Supreme Court. But Maria, if I can just tell you what has happened. Now, remember, Satyendra Jain has been in jail for close to 10 months. And the other person close to the Chief Minister, close to Manish Sisodia, Vijay Nair, nobody talks about him now. He has been in jail for 4 months now. Now, if you go by what has happened with them, even though the cases, in one, they are related to Manish Sisodia, the other one is completely different. Yeah, so when the Supreme Court actually said that you go to the High Court, exhaust your options for remedy in the High Court. After that, actually, we got this information. But until yesterday, even though the Aam Aadmi Party had, a plan B in place, and even though there has always been talk about the possible resignation of Satyendra Jain, the possible resignation of Manish Sisodia, the party completely defended Jain and Sisodia. In fact, many times, even yesterday, they actually said that if we go on, removing our ministers based on corruption charges that have been levelled by the BJP on the actions of agencies that have been prompted by the BJP headquarters, then there will be no end to it. And therefore, it was a sort of an ego battle also between the BJP and the Aam Aadmi Party, with Arvind Kejriwal refusing to budge on Satyendra Jain for close to 10 months now. But somewhere, I think Arvind Kejriwal actually realized that it is perhaps time to cut his losses, especially when the party is looking at expanding beyond Delhi. It is contesting elections in 5 states, and the party plans to make a fight of it and concentrate his energies over there instead of daily defending Satyendra Jain and Manish Sisodia. Remember the headlines that come every day in newspapers and on television screens. 2 AAP ministers in jail, AAP ministers charged for corruption, and those are very, very negative. A very negative message goes out to the people, and for those who are undecided about the Aam Aadmi Party or who have not given their support to the Aam Aadmi Party yet, those voters may still, have some sort of a rethink about the claims of the Aam Aadmi Party, particularly because Aam Aadmi Party was born out of an anti-corruption movement.
Rupashri, the resignation copy that you have just sent is now on air, and Mr. Manish Sisodia is saying in this resignation copy, आदरणीय मुख्यमंत्री महोदय, मैं इसे अपना बहुत बड़ा सौभाग्य समझता हूं कि मुझे आपके नेतृत्व में लगातार 8 वर्षों तक दिल्ली सरकार में मंत्री के रूप में कार्य करने का अवसर मिला. Then he goes on to explain about his equation with Arvind Kejriwal. And then he says, ये बहुत दुखद है कि 8 साल तक लगातार ईमानदारी और सत्य निष्ठा के साथ काम करने के बावजूद मेरे ऊपर भ्रष्टाचार के आरोप लगाए जा रहे हैं। मैं जानता हूं, मेरा ईश्वर जानता है कि ये सारे आरोप झूठे हैं। ये आरोप वस्तुतः अरविंद केजरीवाल की सच्चाई की राजनीति से घबराए हुए कायर और कमजोर लोगों की साजिश से ज्यादा कुछ नहीं है। इनका निशाना मैं नहीं हूं, इनका निशाना आप हैं, क्योंकि आज दिल्ली ही नहीं देश भर की जनता आपको एक ऐसे लीडर के रूप में देख रही है जिसके पास देश के लिए एक विजन है और उस विजन को अमल में लाते हुए लोगों की जिंदगी में बड़े बदलाव लाने की योग्यता भी है। So basically he is saying that my charge is only because I am associated with you. Akash, if you look at the import of this letter, here is Manish Sisodia clearly saying मुझे डराया, धमकाया, लालच दिया गया, and it's only and only because I am number 2, I am your trusted lieutenant.
Right. And Maria, you see, the tone is emotional.
Yes.
But, one can also see this as, party which is looking for national expansion, and at a time when a minister who is constantly denying that he has nothing to do with corruption case and who has, just gone inside the custody of CBI is writing this letter. This can be considered as a part of strategy as well. Because, there were talks going around that now Arvind Kejriwal is looking for plan B. Because, straight from the time when Satyendra Jain was arrested, during that time, in fact, BJP was asking for the resignation, but, Arvind Kejriwal somewhere denied. He, in fact, gave a certificate of, imandari to his ministers. He said that Satyendra Jain is kattar imandar. I know him from years. In fact, this was the same claim for Manish Sisodia, in fact. But after development where we have seen that how Supreme Court refused to entertain the particular plea, and also yesterday the CBI court. Now it seems like Aam Aadmi Party is working on plan B, and this is the reason why resignations are accepted. And everyone was in fact anticipating that now something would happen. In fact, it is not very easy to go with the current conditions where 2 of your ministers are in jail, and in Punjab you have a different sort of strategy where on the basis of allegations you are asking for the resignation of ministers. And in Delhi, you have a sort of a different strategy where you are constantly denying the claims and you are saying that, central government is misusing central agencies. Okay. It is very clear. In fact, Rupashri pointed out, it is very clear that Aam Aadmi Party is looking for expansion. They are eyeing on 2024 Lok Sabha elections. And, it would not be wrong saying that Aam Aadmi Party is considering itself as main opposition. And this is the reason why
Akash,
these developments are very important.
I would
but this
suggest
is for our viewers,
at
Maria,
the moment, all these plans of Aam Aadmi Party will need a great degree of revisiting. And as Rupashri was pointing out, there is no date that has been mentioned in this letter that has been sent by Manish Sisodia. Arunima, there is a part in this letter, and it was expected that he would raise the question of Delhi school because he has been the education minister. Here is Manish Sisodia saying, दिल्ली के सरकारी स्कूलों में पढ़ रहे लाखों बच्चों की दुआएं मेरे साथ हैं, उनके माता पिता का प्यार मेरे साथ है, और सबसे बड़ी बात दिल्ली की शिक्षा में क्रांति लाने वाले हजारों शिक्षकों का आशीर्वाद मेरे सर पर है। मेरे खिलाफ इन्होंने जितने भी आरोप लगाए हैं, समय के साथ उनकी सच्चाई सामने आएगी और ये साबित हो जाएगा कि ये सारे आरोप झूठे हैं। Not a word on the liquor gate, Arunima. And then he ends with सरफरोशी की तमन्ना आज हमारे दिल में है, देखना है जोर कितना बाजुए कातिल में है.
Yes, very political in its orientation,
Yes.
this particular letter that he has addressed. And this has been the criticism that you have been a minister handling 18 portfolios. The charges against you are related to excise. Every time you're accused of wrongdoing in excise, You speak about your role as an education minister and say not a word about the charges that have been leveled against you. That has been the political criticism of Manish Sisodia. That has been the political criticism of Aam Aadmi Party on this issue. And once again, he's reiterating a stance which could lead to further criticism. As far as his role is concerned, the Central Bureau of Investigation so far, even though they named him as accused number 1, could not charge sheet him. They took time to arrest him because they said they were waiting for crucial evidence, and that evidence emerged this Sunday. And they said they wanted to take him into custody to confront him with that evidence. What is that new evidence? Number 1, one of the key associates, alleged key associate, turning approver, telling CBI about the meetings that happened in Hyderabad and in Delhi hotels where the excise policy alleged conspiracy was hashed. Kickback of 100 crore was decided. Hawala transactions of 30 crore as upfront kickback in cash. The currency note numbers, the phone numbers of the Hawala operators, all of that were allegedly revealed by that approver. The charge also that Mr. Sisodia used the same document that the South Lobby, that are co-accused in this case. They printed a 36-page document, and that 36-page was part of Mr. Sisodia's GOM submission as well. The charge being that he actually presented before the GOM what the South Lobby, the co-accused, gave to him. Are these charges true? Are they false? Where is that crucial file on the GOM meet which has gone missing? Why did he change so many mobile handsets? Why did he change so many SIM cards closer to the date of FIR? That's what CBI is asking him, and we find no answer.
Yes, none of the questions that have been raised by the CBI has been answered in this resignation letter. And as the reporters have been pointing out, if anything, this is purely political in nature. Thank you so much for your time, Rupashri, Arunima and Akash. Let me bring in my guests at this hour. R.P. Singh, BJP National Spokesperson, joining me here in the studio. Akshay Marathe, Aam Aadmi Party Spokesperson. Dr. Onika Mohrotra is Congress Spokesperson. Ashwini Dubey, Advocate of the Supreme Court. Smita Prakash, Editor of ANI. Akshay Marathe, you know, as a question which will be asked to the Aam Aadmi Party is, why now? For almost 9 months, you defended Mr. Satyendra Jain, saying that he'll continue in the ministry, that he will be a minister without portfolio. Now, in just matter of 2 days, you realize that Manish Sisodia cannot continue. What made Aam Aadmi Party take this move?
Maria, first of all, I want to clarify that in no way does Aam Aadmi Party back away from our vociferous and vocal defense of the honor and dignity and the honesty and decency of Mr. Manish Sisodia and Satyendra Jain. The resignations that we have seen today have not been asked for by the Chief Minister, even though they may have been now accepted. They have been made by the ministers themselves of their own free will. And the reasoning for that is very clear. The reasoning is that we have been given a mandate by the people of Delhi. We have got 62 out of 70 seats and BJP has got 8 seats.
Not one.
We are supposed to govern the city.
I have the copy of that letter. It's a 3-page letter, Akshay. Not a sentence on the questions that have been raised by the Central Bureau of Investigation. Mr. Sisodia goes on to say, that मैं जानता हूं कि साजिश करता मुझे और आपको परेशान करने के लिए मुझे जेल में डाल रहे हैं, लेकिन मैं समझता हूं कि उनकी इन साजिशों से सच्चाई की राजनीति की हमारी लड़ाई और मजबूत होगी. So you are essentially talking about politics. There is no facts or anything to do with the questions that have been raised by the investigating agency. Why?
We have a right to defend ourselves, Maria. Are you denying the right to defend ourselves?
Absolutely
we have
not.
a right to say, that this is a political case. It is a fabrication. The entire case is based on lies and false propagated by the Bharatiya Janata Party. And until the court of this country says that we are wrong, we will not accept this allegation by the Bharatiya Janata Party.
But
just
would
because
you accept,
one party
Akshay,
decides after
that
they have
in
lost,
the Supreme
after
Court,
they have lost the election,
when the case was not even entertained today
take out one minister
on the
after
FIR,
another.
His arrest case was not taken up because the court, the lawyers of Mr. Sisodia was told, approach the High Court, you have to follow the entire journey. I mean, that is the process that of law. Does the party see that as a setback? And also the fact is that the FIRs against Mr. Jain has not been quashed. So there has been no reprieve whatsoever from the courts of the country.
Surely, Maria, we all understand how the judiciary functions. Until the trial happens, we cannot expect the court to say anything on the charges.
Yes.
Even in this particular case of Mr. Manish Sisodia, the charge sheet filed by the CBI does not even make a mention of him as the accused. Can you believe that? What kind of a joke have we made about our judicial system? That somebody who is not even mentioned in the charge sheet has been arrested merely because he is so politically powerful and opposed to you ideologically.
Isn't he accused number one in the FIR?
In the charge sheet, he is not even named. Maria, what are we talking about here? The FIR is more important or the charge sheet is more important? The charge sheet has been filed after the investigation. Let's understand the judicial process.
Yes.
The investigation happens and then the charge sheet is filed and Mr. Manish Sisodia's name does not feature in the charge sheet. Yet we are supposed to believe all the false allegations of the BJP just because they have the power to arrest. Doesn't mean that we have to believe that he can be arrested.
Okay.
That is a joke we have made of the judicial system.
Let R.K. Singh come in. R.K. Singh?
Well, you just read out the letter which says Sajish Karta. Who is Sajish Karta in this case is court. Sajish Karta mujhe jail bhejenge. Court has sent him to jail, not us. They went to the court, they went to Supreme Court, to highest court. They were shown mirror by the court and it was thrown on them that you go back to the trial court, you have no right to be here. One. Secondly, 6 months Mr. Sisodia got to go and get this case quashed. He could have gone to the court and said, sir, this is all false, fabricated, please quash this case. Your key functionary Vijay Nair is with police custody, is behind bar from last 4 months. You couldn't get his case quashed. He's the same guy whom you allotted the minister's bungalow. Mr. Kailash Gulot, he was operating from Mr. Kailash Gulot's bungalow. Who in the government would allot a minister's bungalow to a private entity. There was a reason behind it. You are not answering the core questions. The core question is, why did you waive off 144.36 crore when there was no corona between December 15th till January 14th in 21 to 22? You waived off. Who authorized you to return the L1 money 30 crore plus to person who was L1 and he couldn't do the compliance of the tender and his money was returned? I never heard this in the history of the tender process. And why do Mr. Sisodia need 14 mobile phones, sir, in a year?